Are you someone that's questioning whether upgrading to 4K is worth it or not? Well, if so, stick around on this video because I'm going to be exploring all of the pros and the cons about 4K. Hello, my name's Elliot and this channel is all about collecting Blu-rays. So 4K, do I think it's worth it? Well, short answer is yes. The longer answer for the purposes of this video is it depends. So let's talk about the pros of 4K. So why have I upgraded a lot of my films that I love to the 4K format? Well, obviously the main reason for a lot of people is that there is a noticeable increase in both video quality and audio quality. So with 4K as a format, there is the resolution increase. So there's more information in the screen for you to take in if the source material and the disc has been made properly and it's up to scratch. If you're watching this video, I think you should definitely be able to tell the difference between a 4K picture and a 1080p picture, but you can be misled because of a bad player. Maybe a 4K television is not calibrated properly. The Blu-ray disc might be authored incorrectly. It might have some horrible effects on it, like the Terminator 2 disc, which is famously one of the worst 4K Blu-rays out there. It's an absolute travesty if you look at the screen caps of that Blu-ray. So there's a lot going on there that could take you away from the experience, and I think a lot of people might have been turned off on 4K because of those reasons. But look, if 4K is done right, the resolution increase is amazing. You get to see a lot more in the picture. There's HDR, which is high dynamic range. This basically increases the spectrum of colors that are shown on screen because information is dialed into the disc to let the television screen or the projector screen know what colors to dial up or dial down at certain parts through the film. It's very interesting. It's a great use of technology on 4K discs, which I think a lot of people don't realize is part of the greatness of 4K. Like for me, HDR is a massive reason to upgrade to 4K. So if you've been on the fence thinking that, oh, the resolution increase is not all that great, trust me, if you watch a film that is so vibrant in colors already, seeing it in HDR is going to blow your mind, trust me. So you've got these video quality increases because of the capacity that a 4K disc can hold. But video quality isn't the only reason to upgrade to 4K. There's a massive increase in some respects in terms of audio quality. You might have heard about Dolby Atmos tracks that are often featured on 4K discs. If you've got a good setup at home, you've got a soundbar, a subwoofer or surround sound, this can truly make the experience so much better. There are so many experiences I've had with 4K that have almost made me look at a film in a new light because of the increase in audio. Like with the video quality, the audio can sometimes be done wrong on these discs when they are being produced. What I mean by this is for some companies, the audio has been sort of a secondary thought because they've thought, oh, the picture quality is the main thing with 4K. Let's nail the picture quality, and audio, well, we'll just use the same audio tracks that we used on the Blu-ray. That shouldn't happen. And I think when that does happen, it's a real shame because so much money and development has gone into making these 4K discs on the whole. Then, a bit more time and effort should have gone into providing the best audio experience on 4K discs. But maybe that's a rant for another video. Maybe I should do a video on the worst and best audio experiences with 4K. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. If you're enjoying this video about 4K Blu-rays, please do consider subscribing to this channel because you would hear about these videos as soon as they get uploaded, and you could join in the great discussions we have in the comments below. Anyway, back to the video. So that's the audio and the visual increases on the 4K format, which I think should definitely be noticeable to you if you have the right equipment and setup. And this brings me on to my next point as to why I think it's worth upgrading to 4K in 2020. The setup. It's so much more affordable to have a great television or projector in your home and have a great speaker sound system and have everything perfect to watch a great movie in 4K. Look, I know people that 5 years ago spent tens of thousands on their home setup for 4K. And in 2020, that kind of stuff can be got for a fraction of the price that they paid. I truly think that cost was probably the most prohibitive thing to people thinking of upgrading to 4K. And I'm here to tell you that it is much better in 2020. You can get a great setup for such a good price. This brings me on to my next point, which is about the library of films that you can get on 4K UHD discs. Going back 5 years ago, you could barely get any films. There just wasn't much selection at all. And frankly, what was out there didn't interest me that much, and I couldn't justify going to 4K day one. It's a much different situation in 2020, and there's a ton of great discs that make it worth upgrading to 4K. Now, there's still a long way to go in getting more great films on 4K Blu-ray. I mean, there's tons of films that I wish would get a 4K disc. Things are getting better. We're getting new releases every month. The releases seem to be picking up in terms of quantity, and we're now seeing smaller labels such as Arrow Video and Kino Lorber and other labels like that actually adopting 4K discs. So I think this is great for the format, and it means we're going to get a lot of more choice in terms of what we can watch on a 4K disc. So I've talked a bit about what I think are the current reasons for upgrading to 4K. So I talked about the obvious audio and video increases in terms of quality on 4K. I talked about the setup being much cheaper. You can get a great television, a great audio sound system for a great price. And I also talked about the library of films that's available is just getting wider and wider as time goes on. The main big problem that I have with the 4K format at the moment is that a lot of these studios are still getting things wrong with these discs. So the potential is there to have amazing video quality, 4K resolution, HDR, incredible audio quality, you know, a great Dolby Atmos soundtrack. And in some respects, labels are getting one of those things wrong. They're messing up in some regard. And it's just a shame because a 4K disc could be the ultimate package for a film. And when one of those things is let down, it lets the whole package down. Thinking off the top of my head, it's relevant to a release that has just come out. I haven't actually received this yet, but the Hitchcock 4-film collection that has Psycho, Vertigo, The Birds and Rear Window in it. A lot of people have already reviewed the Psycho disc, and while the picture quality is amazing, I believe there's some problems with the audio. I think the audio track is an old track from the Blu-ray, and it was advertised as a new track, and I'm not too sure, but I know there's issues with that, which is such a shame because people are saying the picture is the best it's ever looked. I mentioned before the Terminator 2 disc, which famously has a lot of DNR, digital noise reduction, so there's a lot of smoothing of the picture, and Arnold looks really waxy and it just looks terrible. It's a really, really bad disc. There are so many other things wrong with it as well. And that's a shame because the film is amazing. The film is iconic. So many people love that film. And who knows when we'll get another release of that film on 4K. And who knows if that will be perfect as well, because they could mess it up again. So it's just stressful. It's stressful because we hear about these announcements that a film is coming out on 4K. We get all excited and then we get the disc and people review it. And we just hear that it's a letdown. And it's sad because we don't know when it will ever happen again on 4K. In conclusion, is it worth it upgrading to 4K? Absolutely. If you can afford it, if you can afford the player, the television and the discs, I totally recommend giving it a go, because I think if you get all of those things right, you will see a noticeable difference in the video quality and the audio quality. And the more people that adopt it, the more great films we can get on this format. Before I end this video, I want to give a big shout out to my Patreon supporters, in particular my Fellini fanatics, that's Dustin and Johnny. So thank you so much to you guys, and if you want to check out my Patreon, by all means go to patreon.com/boutique Blu-rays, and I'll include a link below, and you can check out all of the exclusive videos that are on my Patreon. I'll be back with more videos about 4K Blu-rays very soon, but if you want to stick around on the channel and get some recommendations, just click whatever video is going to be appearing on screen right now. So I'll see you very soon. Until then, stay well and keep watching great films.